Hi, everybody. So we're going to go through some of the questions today. Sorry about the lighting. I feel like I have got to figure that out still. But we're going to go through some of the questions, and I don't know if I'll get to all of them, but I'm going to do my best. So we will just get started. So one more thing I wanted to say before we get started is that I just did a video with Mark Atwood and Abby Wynn, and that's on Rumble, and I will put the link below. And it was really good. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of great information in there and kind of our own point of view of how we see everything happening right now. So it was a great conversation. Okay, so this is from Tiffany, and she just went through Oregon. She wants to know if the things that she thought were pyramids are pyramids. Yes. So there are pyramids everywhere. And I've been realizing, that I live next to several pyramids because I'm in the mountains and there's something going on with the shapes. And you guys can go ahead and look into that yourself, like when you're traveling, but there's tons of pyramids. There's also these shapes that look almost like a natural gorge. And I got that came from sound. It was creating sound, like frequency. So there's two of these that I can just think of off the top of my head. And it looks like a pyramid that maybe had half of it blown out and it's gone. But I think it was actually a frequency machine. And I think that a lot of these were created, a lot of these mountains and stuff were created not just by plates coming together, tectonic plates, but also by titans. So they had civilizations as well, and they weren't all primitive. And if you think about the size of a titan, they definitely would have a mountain-sized pyramid. So pyramids come in all shapes and sizes, and we are seeing them constantly right now. Yeah, so it's good. Okay, so this is a question from a fairly new viewer, and it has to do with Ascension, and it's from Julie. So people that are ascending in their bodies, they're going through detox, they're going through purging, and they're here to ascend in their body. A lot of us are not feeling great through that process. That has nothing to do with whether you're ascending or not. So you're on the ascension path, you're awake, and it will take as long as it takes for you. But if you're here and you're doing the work, then you're in the process of ascending. Now, if someone is wanting to go, wanting to leave, and they've been talking about it for a long time, then they probably have that part of their life's path mapped out for them, that they're not ascending in their body. The ascending in the body is a pretty unique thing. And the reason it's happening is because humanity is ascending out of the 3D. So we're in 4D now. This is density. But we will ascend beyond that because 4D is more a bridge. It's not a permanent location. It's a very chaotic place in comparison. And we're going into the 5D. So that's density. I'm talking about density. How long will it take us to get into the density that we are ascending into? I don't know at this point. I know what the window of ascension is, and that's the decision window. And the decision window at this point is ending in 2027, more at the very beginning. Now, there have been times when things slowed down and that stretched to the end of 2027. But right now we're speeding up again. And you have to remember that time is malleable. But 2030 is when we get into the beginning of the golden age. And if you're in that ascension window, you will experience that. How you experience it is up to you. So there's a whole lot of variables in there. We're in a multiverse. So whatever you can do to expand your mind is going to help your body. And whatever you can do to play and have fun is also going to help your body. And I think those things are really important. Okay, so this question comes from Christine. And just so you guys know, if I haven't said it before, all of these answers are coming from my higher self. So with me and with most of you, your soul is totally downloaded into your body at this point. But you have an oversoul that is made up of all of the parts of you, every part of you that's in the multiverse, and that's who your higher self is now. So that's a big change. There used to be we had maybe 10% of our soul occupying our body, but we are elevating constantly now, and most of us have 100% of our soul within the body at this point. And that soul has a lot of things to say, but then also it's talking to its oversoul, the biggest part of them. And that's where my answers are coming from. So if you want to learn how to do that, I do it on I have a soul guidance course on my website. Okay, so can you tell me who was talking to me up until I was 4 years old? Feels like your divine partner, actually. And that is a part of you. So really, in essence, it was yourself talking to you, but it was the part that is your divine partner. So it's something that you guys had as an agreement so that you would remember that and you would be able to find them easier in this life. Also, that you would be able to know who you are because of that experience. So it kept you awakened long enough that you had the memory of it, which is really cool. And then as far as your cockatoos go, your birds, yes, they have been in your life before. They have been in many different ways in your life. So sometimes animals, sometimes people. We need to remember right now, our animals are coming in with big souls, and a lot of animals have had walk-in souls that are really big. So they're ascending too. Everything is ascending right now. We're going from a polarized universe to a being universe. So the entire universe is ascending, and that includes the multiverse, every version of this universe. So keep that in mind. And mostly we have a lot of the same beings around us in most of our lifetimes. So we're pretty much like traveling and experiencing with the same beings most of the time, playing different roles. So hopefully that helps because this is a learning game that we're in. Okay, so this is a great question. It has to do with higher self. It comes from Bethany, and she wants to know, so she's having conversations with her higher self every day, sometimes just talking, sometimes using a pendulum or tarot or oracle cards. I do not always receive accurate information. I have been given clear answers that actually turned out to be the opposite in my reality. So if you tap in, is there any clarity? So here's the thing that's important. Right now, things are very, very liquid. So that's why I don't do predictions anymore. I will give you guys an idea of what I think is going to happen, but you have to remember that's my parallel. So that's my perception of what's coming in that moment. It's the now moment. So we really are in a very movable thing right now. The universe is very liquid, very flowy. So you're not always going to get accurate answers, but also if your ego's in the way, you're not going to get accurate answers. So before you even tune into your higher self, before you even ask questions, you want to make sure that your ego is out of the way, that you're not attached to the answer, that you've let go, that you trust that the universe is there to take care of you. So if you're not at that point, like if you can't say to your ego, I need you to step aside and I'm going to get accurate answers, then find out why your ego isn't stepping aside. Because the ego wants you to stay small, it wants you to stay safe. And we're going into a time where the ego is not going to have a role so much anymore. The ego has been grown by the deletes to a point, like with programming, to a point that is massive because the ego is hooked to fear. So whenever you're answering these questions, really check in with your own like feeling within your body and how you're doing before you ask. So if it's predictive questions, to be aware that shifting is going on all of the time. So that's why I just don't do like really intense, like this is how it is, this is what the future is going to bring. You cannot do that anymore while we're going through this process because everything is shifting so quickly. And this is why manifestation is so fast as well. You can manifest things very quickly as long as you focus on that, you trust that the universe will bring them to you, and you release them, and you just work on your own vibration. That's going to help you manifest very quickly, but it also means that things are shifting very quickly. So keep that in mind when you're trying to do prediction stuff, because it really is not working very well right now. Okay, so this question is from Bodil, and if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I'm sorry. But the question is, why do I cough? So Bodil is coughing, feels fine. What's going on? So part of it is moving energy. You're moving energy, that's your way to do it. Mine is like my nose runs. I'm, generally stopped up. But it really is, it depends on how you move energy. Some people move energy through the colon and then have to go to the bathroom a lot. So it really just depends. There is a sorrow that you haven't healed. So the lungs are connected to sorrow. And also not being able to totally speak your truth is another part of it. But in general, you're moving energy. And I asked at first if you had a food allergy, and I get no. So it's not really the food that you're eating. It has to do with an emotion more than anything else. Okay, so this is from Bertha. And I want to just remind everybody, I'm not a doctor. I'm just using my intuition to see what my higher self has to say. But her husband has been just coming out of the hospital and has a bacteria that's going on. And he's also diabetic. I feel like it's a yeast that he's got. So I would look into that. I will try and put a link below for what I'm using to get rid of yeast in the body. It's a really prevalent problem. And it's something that we're working on right now. So energetically, I would ask for his soul to end any contracts that are no longer valid that may have to do with the illness. But I would probably work on getting rid of candida out of the body. So I think the name of the stuff that I'm using is Saccharomyces boulardii, but I will do my best to remember to put it below. Just really focus on clearing the system, is what I would say. And we're all forgetting things constantly. But that can also be a huge burden on the body. I would definitely, if he's willing, take him to a naturopathic doctor, because that would really probably help quite a bit. And it's taking, you know, taking the burden of how to figure it out off of you. And I think it would also help him to have somebody that could like tell him steps to get well. So I would do that. Yes, the med beds are coming, but waiting around, I don't feel like is a good idea. I feel like we should be proactive, just like we should be proactive with a lot of the things that we're doing and get started with projects in any way that we can, get started with humanitarian things, get started on whatever it is that we want to create in our lives. Don't wait for the outside to bring it in. Cultivate it from the inside, because that's going to bring it in faster. Okay, so these are really fun. So I'm going to show you some pictures. This comes from Linda Lee, and she's asking, are they fairies or what are they? So you've got fairies and you also have orbs, and the fairies are very bright. So the fairies, a lot of them are in the ascension process, like in a really big way. So they're just about there when it comes to ascension. And here's one. What a great picture. So they're brighter right now and they're really doing amazing. You can see the wing here. So fairies are doing fantastic right now. And they went through a really hard time where they were harassing everybody, but they really come through it. And those fairies are there to say thank you, basically. Thank you. They're happy that you were there for them. So even if you weren't aware you are or were, you were there for them, you were helping them. They're just very grateful to be your friend. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it in any way, and they don't want anything from you, but they're excited to say hello. Okay, so this is from Carrie, and she had a question. She's had diverticulitis and recently ended up having to have surgery, but she's really been expanding and changing and growing. You have a parallel life that has affected you, and that, has to do with your digestive tract. There's also something that you've been eating consistently, it feels like, that maybe isn't in your highest good. So I'd really check your food. And I would probably see a naturopathic doctor or a functional medicine doctor. But I feel like just making sure you're not eating the thing that is causing it is important. But resolving the parallel is very important. So that's what they call shadow work. So in this parallel, you want to ask your soul to deal with it. And you can have your soul and your angels go and deal with the shadow. But say the shadow that is attached to my digestive tract that is having extraordinary problems with theirs, that's what I would do first. And then see how you feel. But I feel like there is something you're consuming that's also bothering it a bit. So, and maybe that will stop as soon as you fix the shadow and heal it, but maybe it won't. So just be aware of that and don't be afraid to see natural doctors, you guys, functional medicine doctors. Just use your intuition with everybody that you see. Okay, so this is from Neil and this question, and it has to do with being a starseed and a healer. And he's being told that he'll be able to heal large groups, which is true. And he's also being told that he is angelic, ET, and human. So what does that mean? Because it can sound overwhelming, right? So his soul has angelic qualities, has ET qualities. So what soul group is he from? He's got the angelic part of him. That's the main part. Okay. So he has the inner child, he has an angelic part, and the angelic has also been an ET. So I want to talk about soul groups with you guys and talk about how it works. I've done it in the past, but I don't really feel like it landed very well or like people really got it. So I want to talk about it in a bigger way. I am going to be writing about it, but if you think about it, what came first, right? So God Source released pieces of itself, right? Consciousness was released. And the first beings that were released were creator beings. Okay, so they were called the architects. And then the architects created an army because they were in a polarized universe. So that's the way that they were learning. So they created an army to support the polarity. So to deal with the polarity. So the angels were the guardians. They were the army. And some were extremely kind and wonderful, and some were playing the role of the dark. Okay. Angelics have healed most of that at this point. Um, and then you had the ETs. First came the Titans, then came the ETs. And then I feel like the fairies and the elementals came pretty much at the same time. I think a lot of the beings, because time doesn't really exist, but I feel like a lot of the beings came very virtually at the same time, different kinds of beings. So Pleiadians and then fairies or sprites and Arcturians. Well, Arcturians, I feel like they're morphing because they were gone for a while and now they're morphing. Um, who else? Andromedans. Now, I'm not the best with all the ET names, but Andromedans and Lyrans, and like they all have a unique personality as a group and then also as individuals. So if somebody tells you over and over that you are something that you feel is too big and too amazing, it probably isn't, it probably isn't. And that's part of the construct of us thinking that we have to be small. So we are spirits or beings experiencing this reality as a learning game. Those beings, some of them could be way bigger than the planet. Okay. They could be so much bigger than planet Earth, just as a being themselves, but they can shrink down and they can be in a human body and they can help with this ascension process. So I would say to start learning, just start learning about yourself, invest in some ways that you can ask yourself questions. That's what I would do. Okay, so the next question is from Alexis about her little dog named Harley, I think. Yeah, Harley. What is ailing Harley? So Harley is an empath and taking on a lot of the emotion, not just from you, but from the world itself. So I would talk to Harley's soul and see if that contract can be broken. And then I would do a few things. I would get Harley some Reiki And I would also make sure that Harley gets time outside and gets grounded every day. So really gets to be in the grass or the dirt or something every day. And this would be a great time for you to be grounding too. Some of that emotion was yours, but it feels like Harley has taken on even more than just yours. And it's too much for the body. So, yeah. I mean, the main things with health these days is make sure that you're detoxing, you're parasite free as possible at the moment. And parasites to me include mold and they also include yeast. So those three things, worms, mold, and yeast, you want gone from the body. And then making sure that you're grounded and that you have the right minerals. Those things are really important. Um, but for me, what I'm getting is grounding and releasing the empathy, like taking on other people's stuff. So that's something that we've done for years on end as a group is we've taken on illnesses, we've taken on feelings, and we've carried them for other people. You don't want to keep doing that. You're not helping them be sovereign if you're taking on their stuff and dealing with it for them. So that message is for Harley. And it's also for anybody out there who's doing that still. It really isn't helping at this point if you're carrying somebody else's load. Okay, so this is really good. This is from Rhea, and she had a dream in which her fingers were tingling, and from the tips came white energy beams of light. She was so excited that she showed her son in the dream that she could pull a plant up to grow and be tall with these beams. When I woke, I tried it immediately. Is that her gift? It is one of her gifts, yes. So, what I would do in this case is learn to practice it. We have a lot of things in the way. So, she was having an astral travel. She wasn't having like a dream. Um, and I'm getting ready to do a class with Z about gifts. We just did an activation, and we're going to teach how to basically let go of the things in the way of your gifts. And also, how does it really work? So think about that in your own mind. How does it work? What are we doing to negate it? So are you saying to yourself, oh, that's too fantastic. It couldn't possibly be the gift that was given to me. What are you saying to yourself? What's your dialogue about it in your head? And I would suggest what you do is begin to practice it in a very easy and fun way. So go outside, talk to the plants, practice using your fingers with energy and giving them energy, stroking the plant with energy. You know, I wouldn't pull it up at this point. I don't think that's going to work yet, but I would start to engage. And I think the reason that you were shown the plant is because the plant is going to be where you learn. So that's going to start the learning process. We are magical and we are going to learn how to work with energy more and more. And the energy is driven by intention and thoughts. So if you have good thoughts about what you're capable of, it's going to get beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. Also, let go of having massive expectations at the beginning because it really can be a slow opening of your gift so that you feel safe while you're doing it and you don't have to get corralled, like the superheroes do while you're waiting, because we all work with energy in the astral plane. That's what we're doing. That's how we create everything. So remember that, and remember that you are worthy of your gift. So I hope that helps. Okay, so this is the last question I'm going to do for today, but this one is from Carrie, and she wants to know, and I don't think I've mentioned this before, but what her geometric shape and color are. So we do all have different shapes that we carry around with us. Carrie has the toroidal field, which we all have. She has an egg that she carries, and kind of that's a safe space for her, and it's a peachy color. So when you think about a peach, what is that? Like a peach is like this, to me, it's like life-giving, happy, joy. You're excited to have a peach, because it's like juicy and alive, right? Um, and she wants to know what more of the 5D aspects are. Okay, it's like a show in itself. I'm gonna write that down because it is a show in itself, but I want you to think about some of the things that I'm gonna bring up. So 5D aspects. So density and dimension. Dimension is the consciousness. We're going to get to the dimension before we get to the density. Okay, because we create our own reality. So the consciousness is going to create the density. Hopefully that helps. So what do you do in the 5th dimension? You create your own reality and you know you're doing it. You shift gears, you live in the now, you create and manifest very easily, and you have a lot of fun. So try and start having more fun now if you're not having enough fun. That's what the 5th dimension is to me. Like it's ease, it's beauty, it's kindness to yourself first, and then to those around you. It's feeling love and giving love and knowing what unconditional love is. Even if somebody's being awful, like maybe they're in pain and they're not being nice because they're in pain, you still love them unconditionally. So that's what the 5th dimension is to me. The 5th density, I think, is us knowing how to use our crystalline body for the programs of the 3rd density to finally be gone. So we've washed them out by that point. We're no longer thinking in the terms of the 3rd density. So those kind of things. But I think that is worthy of a show. So anyway, I hope you guys have a fabulous day. And I don't have a whole lot scheduled this week because my internet was not working and I just got new internet. So we'll see how many things end up on YouTube. But I hope you all have a fabulous day and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.